Hello everyone, today I'm gonna show you how to cut the top with the button line here. So to make the button, you will spare 4 or 5 centimeter for the button line from the double fold line. You draw the shoulder line, everything draw from here. Shoulder line, half of the shoulder gonna be 16 centimeter. The neck from here, neck divided by 5, 6.5 centimeter. Neck divided by 5, shoulder divided by 2. The drop from the shoulder here 3.5 centimeter, which estimated at shoulder divided by 10. You connect them, you have the actual shoulder line. You draw the chest line, which will be chest measurement divided by 4, which is 19 centimeter. You draw the line out. You in the chest line here, you take the chest point, which is chest measurement divided by 4 or so, which is 19 plus 2 or 3 centimeter for the movement. So I'm gonna plus the 2.5 centimeter here for the movement, or even bigger if I want, and then I'm gonna get the sleeve to draw the sleeve curve. How to draw the sleeve curve, you can watch the video for how to cut and sew the sleeveless top. And from here you can draw it straight down or a little bit tape in the waistline and then slightly go down. For this top, I want to make it a square neck, so I'm gonna make it straight from here, make a square angle here, and then I decide how deep I want for the square. Maybe I want like 10 centimeter, so I draw it square out here like that. If I want deeper, I can do it like this. Also, again, I don't want the neck to be so close to my neck point, so the shoulder here I take it out 2 centimeter, and I will take it out like that. So now I'm gonna cut the front out so you can see better. So I'm gonna use this line and I cut, spare 1 centimeter. At the top here, spare 1 centimeter also, and to the end. So if you watch the video of how to sew the sleeveless top, you will find the cutting is very similar. And then here we cut it in half. So we have a 2 piece, one for the left and one for the right, like that. Similar for the sleeveless top, we cut the back, and then next thing we want to cut the sleeve. The back, basically you can cut very similar to the front. Fold the line here, fold the fabric in half. First fold it in half, and then you can use the pattern here for the front, but without the seam, the button line. Here remember we spare 4 or 5 centimeter for the button, so you can fold it and hide it and copy the pattern for the back. Because the back we don't have the button line, so we don't really need it. And then you can copy the back pattern, but remember the back always higher than the front a little bit, higher than the front by a little bit. So I can trim the front, because I don't have enough fabric here. I trim the front a little bit shorter because I don't want my top to be so long anyway. So for example, the front like that. The back gonna be a little bit higher than the shoulder here. So I'm gonna draw it up from the shoulder here. I bring the shoulder at the back up a little bit by 1.5 centimeter like that. and everything else copy the same except the neck at the back. You can make it square also, or you can make it round. It depends on you. In this case I make it round and I make it a little bit lower than normal. Normally because normally if the back higher than the front by 1.5 or 2 centimeter, you bring it down that much also for the curl back. But this time maybe if I want, I can make it lower or even V if I want. So it's really depend on me. And now I cut it out. So in this case I cut it like this, following, and then I cut, and then I cut everything else same for the back. So the first thing you need to do is sew the buttonhole line together. So remember we spare this much for the button line, but when you fold it in, because they have the collapsing part, so you don't actually sew it in 100% like this and sew straight, but you can fold it a little bit out from this line like 1 centimeter like this, and then you can iron, or even like fold it in one time more. So basically you fold it twice like that, and then iron, and then sew one line straight from the top to the bottom. So I explain why we don't fold it 100% in, like as much as we spare, because later we're gonna have the collapsing part. So basically if we do it like that, the front gonna be shorter than what we planned. So you make it fold it a little bit less than how much we spare. It's good. And then from this line you can fold everything inside one more time. First fold it like this, and then fold it in one side one time more, and then pin, and then draw the line and sew them together. So after iron the button line like this, you can sew them together. So first there are several ways to sew. You can overlock this part and sew straight line, or you can fold it in one more time like this and sew a straight line. Really depends on how you like to handle this. You can fold it first and then iron and then sew. For me, I'm used to sewing, so I don't need to iron and sew. You can go back stitch or no need is okay if you're confident that you not open it out by any accident. Because later, if you don't go back stitch, but if you don't play with it later, anyway, later we need to fold it up here and then we can sew back stitch, and this time it's okay also. So you just need to go back stitch when you don't need to sew it after with another angle. Now you have a front being sewed together like that. Now we will learn a technique called cutting the interfacing part. So in the other lesson, we already learned how to cut, how to border the bordering by the bias tape. This technique is different. How different? So first, you're gonna do one interfacing layer of the neck and copy the shape of the neck for the front and the back also. So I have my neck is now like this, right? copy the shape of it. Here, you copy the shape of it by 5 centimeter. No need to copy the whole thing, but copy a little bit, 5 or 4 centimeter from the shoulder, from the neck point, and then you cut. We copy the shape of the neck like that, and we cut out this piece. And you cut one more piece for the other side of the front also. So you have the copy like this for the front. Neck. And the other side, similar, you copy the neck for the back. You place the fabric here and you place the back on top to copy the neck together. Place it down, copy, and similar, we only need to copy 5 centimeter at the shoulder like that, and copy 100% everything. And then cut it out. So this is called interfacing layer around the neck. Next thing you need to do is you need to sew the neck curve with the interfacing layer. Place them together like this, and then you sew 1 centimeter or even 0.8 centimeter all the way around, depend on how much you already spare for seam allowance. So if I spare 1 centimeter for the seam allowance, I will sew all the way around like that. After sewing them together like this, I'm gonna start trimming the border here because the curve here to flip it inside out if you don't trim the border. Trim very close but not cut through the thread. Every 1 or 2 centimeter, every turn curve. And then after, you're gonna flip it inside out and then iron. Flip this one inside out. So now we already close the border like that. So instead of doing bias tape, you can do something like this, which is cool and nice also. Gonna be flat. And then you will iron. Once you iron, you can turn it around. And this part you can fold it in and sew on top. Or you can even hand sew to hide it a little bit. This one you can fold it in. And then iron. Iron the whole thing. After ironing, you can sew on top, very close to the edge to fix the layer inside. Similar, you're gonna do for the layer of the neck here. You fold in like this. Fold it, we spare a little bit space here and you fold in like this. And before you turn it over, you remove, cut, and trim the edge here where the turn is. And then flip this one inside out. So this part will stay inside. So is a turn here also. This part will stay inside. And because we already fold the border here, so this one facing down like that. And then you can go and iron this part. So this part stay inside like that for the border. You see how nice it looks? And then here, if you want, you can go and iron it. But if I feel confident already, I can keep continue to sew. And I can continue to fold it in, depending on how much I want to fold in. And then keep sewing and fold. So I will go iron this part. After you sew this like this, you turn it inside out. You trim the edge here. You turn it inside out. Turn it over again. This one you can fold in. And then this one fold in again. Finally, sew one line. After, you will sew the shoulder together. Line them up and draw 1 centimeter and sew them together for both sides. I will explain to you again about how to draw puffy sleeve. So after you already measure the curve. The sleeve is 20/44. You divide by 2 is 22. You fold the fabric half like this. You draw the one line. You will draw a line separate apart from the double fold line here, as much as puffy you want. For example, I do it 7 centimeter. And then you draw this line, another line, the distance between them, the distance between this line and this line, this distance is around 11 to 14 centimeter. Depend on your your chest will be chest measurement divided by 10 plus 3 to 5. You draw this line. How the distance between them gonna be 22 centimeter. You divide into 3 parts. You take the central point here. Draw the curve. Move it up 1.5 centimeter. Draw the curve. And you have the sleeve like this, sleeve curve like this. How long the sleeve you want to measure from here to the bottom of the sleeve where you want the sleeve to end. Maybe here you can draw it a little bit make a square angle here, draw a little bit straight down. So even the bottom here is puffy also, because we already add more centimeter, 7 centimeter here already, you see. And it wanna be puffy, you can put the elastic in this part. So after you keep the third end here and you draw it up, depend on how puffy you want and how push up the sleeve you want. You can add 7 to 10 centimeter up, and then you connect the curve from here to here. And this part is the part later you're gonna do the ruffle on this part later. To explain how to cut puff sleeve, first you wanna fold the sleeve as big as you want the puffy part. So next thing you need to do is you spare like 7 centimeter from the double fold here for the ruffle. I will draw one line, start from here, we draw the sleeve, start from here, start from this line, we draw the sleeve. And then next you need to design a line which is from this line down 14 centimeter. Why I choose 14? Because normally it's the chest measurement divided by 10 plus 3 to 5 centimeter. So I draw 2 lines here, the distance is 14. So same when I do with like the other normal sleeve cut, I have the curve here of the sleeve is 44 divided by 2 is 22. So I take the point here 22 and I divide it into 3 equal parts. This part I move it up 1.5 centimeter and connect with this line and this one. And this part we take it central and move it down half centimeter and make the turn like that, and then you draw the sleeve down. So why I spare a little bit gap here? Because I want it to have a more puffy at the top. So I from this point I draw the curve up like this. So later we're gonna do the ruffle on this part, and then you cut this one out. Then we have the sleeve. So how to sew the puff sleeve into the fabric? So first you have the fabric curve, the sleeve curve like this, and then you will put the puffy part here on top. So remember at the third here is where we do the ruffle. So now we sew the ruffle part first. First you run a line. From here you run a line. Remember, you don't need to go by 6 at the beginning and the end. Until here. And then you stop, you cut them apart like this. You hold the under thread to pull. So you have the ruffle being created like this. You move the ruffle a little bit, just pull the under thread, okay? There is top thread and the under thread, and you can even pull from this side also. And we pull it until it reaches like 44 centimeter to be matching with the sleeve top. The sleeve curve at the body. If you don't sew it the ruffle, you just need to sew the sleeve with the body matching 44 centimeter is good. So you keep adjusting and pulling the ruffle in the middle so it's like and then if it's more than 44 or less, you can open it out more, release it a little bit. So now you have the puffy part like this. And then you matching with the sleeve and check how much you have, how much you need to open or push and make the ruffle more in case you need more. So you check it, checking everything, checking, make sure the ruffle is equal from it's good, like not so big in one side and not so much like this part is not having much ruffle at this part, so I'm gonna push the ruffle a little bit this way, and then I can readjust it until it's like matching nicely. Okay, so I can continue sewing. So first I'm matching these two together and sew one line first. And then here I can push the ruffle matching and make sure everything is matching. I want to place more ruffle at the top here, so I'm gonna do more ruffle at the top. At the top of the shoulder, I fold the waving, like the ruffle here flat and facing straight down. And this one I can check at the end here and see how much I need to adjust at the end here. So this is matching, so I need to hold the ruffle, how this much is matching also. So the ruffle must be placed here more than what we already hold, and I can hold it by my hand like that. I can even place it like that, yep, and then keep holding. Keep sewing until the end here. Sewing that together, I'm gonna go to overlock machine to lock this part, and the outside gonna look like that. Of course, the line here gonna be taken away by ironing, so the line here will fade away. You have the ruffle like that, and then you close the hem here at the bottom. The hem at the bottom you fold up like this. So basically the ruffle you do it by the machine and you pull, but you can always adjust by your hand also. And close the hem at the bottom. If you want to do some elastic at the bottom of the sleeve to make it tight at the bottom, you can use a safety pin and run over the sleeve bottom like this. Already sew the hem up, you put it in and all the way to the end. Push it all the way to the end. At the end here you sew to fix them together. So to fix a tail there together, and then this one go to the outside and fix them together. Fix the beginning here together with this. bottom like that. You join them together and sew the side and the top together. From the sleeve, like this. After doing the sleeve part here, you join them together here and sew from the top. From the sleeves. This one you can fold up, put it up like this. And go 100% to the end. And then you lock the S, and then you do similar for the other side. After you sew the sleeve together like this, you lock the S by the overlock machine, and then fold the hem up and sew the hem together. You can fold up one time or twice, depending on how you like it. I don't want it to be so short, so I do it up a little bit like that. And you sew 100% all the way to the end. After you sew the side together, you close the hem up and you got the top like that.